Welcome back. If you live in a region that is progressive and there's a market for obviously female-owned businesses, you are on the right track. Jack Ma, CEO and founder of Alibaba Group, says female executives are Alibaba's secret sauce. Despite the unique challenges of being a woman in business, Kenyan women continue to keep to their guns and break walls. In my panel this morning, we have Evelyn Kasina, who is the CEO and founder of a cybersecurity firm that deals with cybersecurity as well as digital influence. We also have Rosemary Kirimi, who has been in business for 7 years in a male-dominated industry, which is manufacturing. She is the CEO and founder of Rocksmix International. Both women, as you've heard, are in an industry that is very male-dominated: IT, cyber security, as well as digital intelligence and manufacturing. I'll introduce you to the ladies in just a little bit. Ladies, thank you so much for making time to be with us here this morning. Rose, both of you are definitely in a male-dominated industry. How would you describe your industry? Rose, I'll begin with you. What does it mean to be a woman in manufacturing?
It's a journey. It's interesting to be a woman in manufacturing because it's very male-dominated. We are very few women. And we work with a lot of the men in the industry, right, from machinery to production to the actual application of what we do. It's a male-dominated industry. Yeah, so it's unique being a woman.
It's unique being a woman in manufacturing.
Yes.
Evelyn, what about you? It's IT-based, and we both know IT is also another industry that is very male-dominated. What does it mean to be a woman in that industry?
It's interesting because when you find women on top of the roof fixing masks and internet connections, male make us feel like we're very fragile. Our work is just on the computers, doing command prompts and stuff like that. So it's interesting because we want to fit in and make sure that what the men can do, we can do better, because we are a stronger species of the human race.
Okay. So allow us to run a story here in regards to what we're talking about, women in business, just to give us a little bit more progressive on this. Now, it was a day of a kind for female game changers in the economic sector as the Kenyan National Chambers of Commerce and Industry, through the Women in Business platform, chose to celebrate women who have made a positive impact in the business sector. The Standard Media Group sponsored the event and saw more than 10 winners awarded. Take a look.
The Women in Business Award ceremony in its first year drew business owners from various fields that include science, education, politics, construction, art, among others. Chair of the Women in Business, Mary Mudhoni, said that Kenyan business women have been receiving awards abroad, and it was high time they get recognized at home.
Some of the things we do, we converge over 10,000 women every year, and that is part of your networking.
To receive the award.
It was all smiles for the winners who received trophies and certificates for their efforts.
It feels really good. You know, entrepreneurship is not easy, and especially in the tech field as a woman. So just being recognized in this field as a leader in this field is just absolutely amazing. And the endorsement that this award gives is, you know, beyond what I could expect.
As a woman, it's not easy because you have other challenges like family challenges, work challenges. You really have to compete in the space. In my industry, it's not an easy industry because it is a male-dominated industry, but we have managed to pull through as much as possible.
Zara Moy received the Chairmanship's Award, an honor that recognizes a business that has shown promise and made a mark under a woman's management. Women in Business serves as a sector under the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, whose mandate is to integrate empowerment of women in business and trade from all the 47 counties.
In 2016, our economy generated a total of about 832,900 jobs, of which only 85,600 were in the modern sector, while 747,300 were actually in the informal sector.
Today, you are living through a difficult time as a country. Male egos are getting in the way of realizing the national potential, because men can know what the other side wants, but women can understand what the other side wants.
Women make up 47.1% of the labor force, and despite this huge percentage, they face limiting challenges in breaking the entrepreneurship glass ceiling.
if the government can look at all the pending bills owed to suppliers, both at the county and the national level, and they release that 80 billion shillings into the market, these people will all be smiling and they'll have a very Merry Christmas.
The Women in Business platform has campaigned for women empowerment and gender inclusion by helping women access 30% of government procurement opportunities and Women Enterprise Fund. Stakeholders present urged the government to give more support to women enterprises in order to better the economy. All Woman, a program that airs on KTN News, was also acknowledged for supporting women's economic development and growth. Caroline B., KTN News.
All right, so it was a night that is recognizing women. My conversation back here in studio. So you've both highlighted the unique challenges that you face both in manufacturing but also in IT sector. Let's highlight a little bit when it comes to now streamlining the conversation a bit. Women are said to be emotional. We are said to be emotional, and that cannot work well in business. But anyone will tell you emotional intelligence is key. How has this worked for you, Rose?
All right. For me, I'll first start by explaining what my business is about.
Please.
So Rock Mix International, we're a paint manufacturing firm. We do manufacture paint locally, both for interior and exterior. And back to your question on emotional intelligence, it means as CEO, I have to deal with my clients who are developers running multi-billion developments in Kenya right now, and at the same time have a conversation with the fundi who actually does the job. So I have to be able to meet a CEO and present Rock Mix International as a company that can deliver, and at the same time meet the fundi to ensure that our quality is not compromised, that our job is done on time, and that the client is happy. So the emotional intelligence for a woman works across the board, from the CEO up there to my colleagues, co-workers, the people I work with, down to the fundi, down to the casual who helps the fundi do what he needs to get done.
So for you, it's a strength?
It's a beautiful strength.
All right.
Yes.
Evelyn, what about you? Emotional intelligence, how women are perceived to be emotional creatures?
Actually, I think when you look at CEOs, women-led businesses, CEOs tend to make decisions from their hearts. For me, it is dealing with a particular issue that is on the table and ensuring that the people in my team, as much as we want to communicate with our clients, that the people in the team understand the project, the timelines, the deliverables, and that's how we manage to ensure that our clients are happy with our work. Being in IT, of course, we basically deal with computers. So I make sure that I impose as much emotional intelligence to my team so that they can portray that out there as much as we just communicate with computers most of the time.
Do you feel as if there are challenges that are specifically unique to Rose, specifically unique to Evelyn? Eve?
Yes, I think...
Would you say that? Even
yes,
she's nodding.
Yes,
okay.
Yeah.
Give me one or two.
Specific challenges. I mean, when you sit in a boardroom with men and you are articulating issues, the men are perceived to be physically strong. We are emotionally and mentally intelligent. So conversations for us are from a perspective of emotional intelligence, and for the work that's supposed to be done, we do not need that strength. Because if I'm a woman-led business, I will still hire the same men to do that physical job. So it is for me to articulate the issues that this job can be done by a woman as much as it can be done by a man. But for the specific challenge, it's that already when we are out there, the jobs are being given to men, so we have to work double to make sure that we can prove that we can do the same job. Yeah.
All right, Rose?
The unique challenges, I believe, are every woman is different, and every day is different. You, as a woman, you're handling different issues every day. Sometimes your child is sick in the morning, sometimes, and you still have to go to work. But also, in terms of some of the work that we do, a woman cannot, well, let me not say a woman cannot do, but women need training to be able to do that. Like, for example, going up a 12-story house on a scaffolding to put paint on top. You know I cannot go up 12 floors, like, seriously. But the men in my team don't look at women like lesser beings. They understand that the synergy is required to be able to deliver to the client.
Let's drive the conversation now a little bit to stereotypes, because that is something that we cannot turn our blind eye to. And yes, over the years, it has gotten a bit better, but there's still stereotypes in the boardroom, in meetings when it comes to women. What are some of the stereotypes that you face, Evelyn?
Wow. Well, first and foremost, I'm young, so people tend to look at me like I do not know what I'm saying. Yeah. But then when you start speaking and you show that you're confident and you actually do understand and you can deliver, then the conversation tends to move. So for me, being a woman and then being young in my industry, it's just one of the worst.
Do you feel as if you sometimes get there, you can't do it, or you can be too dominating, you can be too overpowering? Like you said, you're in a boardroom and here you're making a presentation, you're challenging your male colleagues equally. Sometimes does it feel like, I need to lay back a little bit, I need to be a bit softer? Actually, for me, yes, I experienced that a lot, but I realized that I need to get my portion of the pie. My market share, I have to get my market share. So if a man can come and articulate a certain issue about a project, I can do it better. And if I can come and just, we are in the same playing field. So if it's my market share, I'll go for it. So some of the, what happened along the way is I decided I have to be very confident because I know what I'm doing. So for me, it's not an issue of I need to lay back. I don't need to lay back. I need to be in the forefront. Yeah. I'm glad you talked about you equally and having the right to eat a part of that pie. Sometimes we women are shy. We're shy to quote as high as we want. Yeah. We're shy to negotiate our salaries. We're shy to request for what it is that we want. But you're saying that it's important that women need to be confident. We need to be confident. When says, you know what, I also want my part of the pie. Yes. My share. Yeah. If you actually do know what it is you want, you go for it. There's no being shy. Just decide that I'm going to do this and this is what I want and you go for it. Yeah. What about you, Rose? What are some of those stereotypes you face in your industry that you've had? And sometimes you're like, they say and they get to you and you're like,
I know. It's interesting because I'm currently in a situation where that is happening. And what happens in our industry is first you have to be invited to the table. You first must sit on the table where you're heard, because construction is very male-dominated, from the consultancy to who makes decisions to the actual workers on site. Like if you go to site, you'll find very few women. So already when you arrive to a site and you're a woman, is from the watchman at the gate, he looks at you and says, Madam, unataka nini hapa, And you face that from the gatekeepers at the entry. So first you have to get invited to the table. And when you're at the table, the next question they ask you is, can you deliver?
What are you bringing?
Yeah. Rosemary, can you do this job? Because you're quoting against brands that are known. I know we'll come to that conversation later. You're quoting against brands that are known, brands that are tested and proven and things like that. And someone asks you, Rosemary, I like your product. I like what you're saying. I like your quote. But who are you? You have to actually be able to say, this is who I am. And it's amazing when you have a track record, because over 7 years, I'm able to say 7 years ago, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this, and you can check my record. And once you do that, then they're like, this girl kind of knows what she's doing. And it's also amazing when you do the job and it's satisfactory. And now all the consultants have to acknowledge that a woman has brought something to the table, something that they desired, something that works, something that they can see. And all of a sudden, then you become an inclusion.
Right now, Kenya is looking at Rosemary, who is very confident, and Evelyn, who is very confident, and someone at home is watching and saying, But honestly, at some point, Rose, did you feel a bit timid, a bit shy? Just what Evelyn said, that you were too scared to quote. And like you said, you're in a male-dominated industry, from the watchman to the people who are making the decisions at the boardroom. Yes. Were there times, and maybe even till today, that you feel a bit shy just because of your gender, because you're a woman?
That thing inside a woman is almost a constant. It's a voice you have to kill.
No matter how successful you are.
No matter how successful you are, there's something inside of you that almost tells you, hey, can you do this? Can you do this? But the journey, the day by day, the moment by moment, when you close your first deal and you're like, all right, we need to do this. And you do it, and you do it, and then you get paid. It's fantastic when you get paid, And then all of a sudden you realize, I can do this. And over time, you now grow your confidence. Confidence doesn't happen once, it doesn't happen in a day. So you actually grow it, and you reach a level where guys are like, how did you get so confident? And you're like, it's a journey. Yeah. It's a journey.
It just doesn't happen
overnight. It doesn't happen overnight.
And of also talking to yourself.
I talk to myself all the time. I have conversations with the different Evelyns all the time.
Yeah. You have to keep there's that personal development, which is very important.
Yeah.
Yes. What is one of the most appalling comments you've ever had? Let's see who will go. Evelyn?
Appalling.
The one that struck you and oh, it just blew your mind.
Actually, when there's one time I was in a meeting and my assistant kept calling me and telling me there's this company that has nominated you for something. And at the back of my head, since I do cybersecurity, I kept thinking that this is a hoax. I mean, how many times are Kenyan con? And when I called these people, they told me that they did this due diligence through KPMG. And they found that I'm the most influential person I'm the most influential woman in business under the SME category. I was like, no way, there's no way. What did I do? What made you come to that conclusion? It's just the little things that I've been doing. But one of the things that struck me out of that conversation is the fact that when you're encouraging people to go for what they need, you don't know what impact you're doing. So it was what they said to me, that you're such an impactful person. That was just mind-blowing. That was just wow. It was like a wow moment. I was like, okay.
Do you receive a bit of negative as well?
Yes, yes. For people who don't understand. You see, for business, sometimes when you learn to say no, people tend to think that you're bragging. People tend to think that you're just over, you know, you're just bordering on what can I say, on rudeness. Then yes, you start getting a little bit of negative.
It's tough to say no as a woman without having to explain yourself.
It is, but you have to learn to, because not every deal is good for you. So you need to know what you want, and if it's not good for you, it's okay, it's not good, so you just let it go. Yeah, but it's tough, especially when the people you believe in are the ones who are criticizing you the most. Yes, so that's just a tough cookie.
Rose, what about you? What is that one comment you've gotten and you are, it stung?
I've been running through my mind and I can't find any. I can't find any. But what I like, maybe one of the comments that I get a lot and that I really like, is when you're called Mama Rangi. You know? Ule Mama Warangi. So you become like a brand, and that brand is associated with Mama, and it's associated with color. Then I really like that, because like, so for some of the clients some of the markets that we've been able to penetrate, like the men will go and they'll quote and they'll do everything, and then the client will ask, "Wapi ule mama?" And then you know you're a brand. And there's a way that Mama comes out that makes you feel fuzzy inside, and you're so grateful to God that, you know, they recognize that a woman brings something to the table. Yes.
And for you, what about saying no? Saying no to in a very male-dominated industry.
Saying no, even, forget the male-dominated industry, even just saying no in life. Like, would you come for my party? And you're like, no. It's something you have to learn. It's something you have to learn as a woman. And especially in business, sometimes, you know, it might not be saying no to a deal. It might be saying no to how they want you to deal, you know? So you've gone and met somebody who says, boss yangu wako, my boss is not around, and I'm the fundi who's painting, but let's do this deal, you know? Let's say you've delivered this much, but sasa wewe, you deliver a little bit less, and then so that we close the deal. Now the ability to say no at that time. Because you want the deal, but also because you cannot compromise your intelligence or integrity, sorry. You cannot compromise integrity. So no at that point is usually something. It's something we've had to learn to say no. If you pay, you get exactly what you pay. Kama client hayuko, ni sawa. What you pay us is exactly what we will deliver. And if you're not comfortable with that kind of a dealing, you can go to someone else. It's usually quite something.
And really, just to expand a little bit more on the label aspect, there's always this stereotype, be it true or false, that we women, we are our own worst enemies. Do you feel like that's the same way when it comes to business, Evelyn?
Yes. But I think we are changing that narrative slowly, because I do belong to organizations which are empowering women all the time. So yes, it has been there, and I think it's the fact that we are limited to selling in the same place. You know, when people are crowded in the same area, everybody is just job fighting. So when we get to a point where we are opening our minds to the opportunities that are out there, then we start diversing. Then you want to invite other women to the table because the market share is really big. It's depending on what you're seeing. So yes, I think we are slowly getting to the point where we are changing that narrative, but it has been there because everybody wants to supply to Safaricom. Everybody wants to supply to KPLC, but you don't see the fact that we cannot just continue crowding in one market. And I think I love the notion of the blue ocean versus the red ocean. The blue ocean is just a wide space of opportunities. Then the red ocean, I mean, everybody's bleeding because we are fighting for just a little portion of the market share. So we are changing that narrative very slowly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ruth?
It's a stereotype that I don't agree with because we've reached a level where if the client I know is a woman, I can almost conclude that I have the job. Yeah. There's a way women are able to correlate and synergize and agree. There are things you will tell me that I get. Like when you say, I want something that is easy to clean, I get that. And when it comes to concluding or closing, then whenever the client is a woman, even my sales team will call and say, Rosemary, that client is a woman. Just go, because when a woman and a woman are put together, I think we've risen above the fighting and the scratching to just a place where we are able to acknowledge each other and give each other strength. Because even you find like that, the women in the industry, when it's like now at the panel, maybe someone is an architect or someone is what. When you come to a meeting, the women kind of fight for each other. They're like, let's give the woman, And you're like, wow, another woman is actually vouching for you.
So it's now the other way around.
Now it's the other way around.
The narrative is we are pulling each other up.
Yes, now let's pull each other up. Yeah, let's pull each other up.
In the past, it's been said that that's been the strength of men.
Yes.
Men are very more liberating and much more open to pulling each other up.
Yes.
They understand that if I pull you up, I'm empowering myself indirectly as well.
Yes.
Because tomorrow I will need you.
Yeah. That's true. It's happening with the women in the industry, and it's really an amazing thing to watch.
I like that. I can see how you guys are growing. Let's talk about acceptable sexism as society. As a woman, you have to look a certain way. As a woman, you have to do a certain job.
Wow.
I mean, construction. I'm sure 10, 20 years ago, it was Rosemary, a woman in construction. You'd be told, first of all, go home.
Forget go home. When you check in with these high shoes,
people, yes.
First of all, you enter the site, you're like, oh, no, where do I step? And then you arrive there and you're told, the client is on 12th floor. And you're like, okay, so you have to navigate and go up. And then it's amazing the way people look at you as you're going up, Other guys are doing their job, but they're like, who's that,
But let's agree, this is not how we look when we are on site. We are in overalls and, gumboots.
You look the part.
Yes, we have to. Yeah, inclusion. Yeah, so we have to fit in and just, because of course, when you're pulling cables, you cannot pull cables in such kind of mess. You have to dress for the part.
You need to get dirty and get the work done.
Yes, because you have to also show your team that you're not here to just supervise. You can actually do the work.
That's true. That's true.
What would be your general response towards sexism? For example, maybe there's a lady who is watching and she's a secretary and she's feeling like that's as high as she can go because someone has told her that's where you belong. As a woman, that's where you belong. And maybe even to some, there are others who do not even have that secretary job because they've been told your work is in the kitchen.
Did they go to school? Who told them that?
And right? And that's why even I began by saying, if we're living in a progressive society, you're in the right forum. Because let's be honest, ladies, there are not so many women who have the privileges that we have, So what's your general response towards sexism, especially in societies where they tend to limit women? No, do not go into that industry. Don't be a bit too aggressive. Lay low a little bit. Evelyn?
I think. Let me begin by saying we are really over-empowering women. I think when they say we are over-empowering women, that is a wrong connotation. We are not over-empowering women. We are educating women to be included. They need their voices heard. So if you're a woman who's seated somewhere and someone has always been pounding these words on you that you can never match to be anything. You need to first believe in yourself that you can. And if you want your voice to be heard, then you have to look for a platform for your voice to be heard. I mean, you don't need to come to KTN or, to look for a mainstream media. Use your social media. Or even though you're in a chama, start from where you are. Don't wait to be given that platform of audience to feel that your voice needs to be heard. If you have something to say, say it. Even though you're saying it to 2 people, 3 people, We need to change that narrative where men are making women feel like, you know, this is not your place to be. I know women who go and sit in boardrooms and say, I know the government has allocated X amount of shares and money to women, and I am a woman who wants that, and they get it. That woman, I know sometime in their life they've been told that they will never amount to something, and you have to prove not only to other people but to yourself that you can be there. So that narrative of, you know, I'm just going to be a secretary and I'm going to be okay with it, we need to change that.
Before I throw the question to Rose, there's something you've pointed out, that that the women cannot, we've overpowered women.
That's wrong. That's wrong.
Have we that we have forgotten the boy child and strengthening our own?
I mean, the boy child has always been on the forefront. It's just our time to be there, right? I mean, and women, you see, if you look at the context of women in Africa, see, because I mean, with the progressive world, women are coming out more. Africa, women are meant to be the nurturers. We are the ones who are taking care of the children, and we do that. I mean, I have 2 children at home. I drop them, I pick them from school, I do homework, and I'll still work, and I'll still run a business. So we need to be able to tell ourselves that I'm a woman, I need my voice to be heard, because maybe a man will not articulate the issues I want articulated in the way I want them to be articulated, then I have to do it myself.
Okay, Rose,
yeah.
your response to acceptable sexism in society?
Yes. For the women who are watching, what I can say is you have to choose your crowd. You have to choose your friends. You have to choose the voices that you listen to. You have to be very careful as to what you hear. Because as a woman, what you hear doesn't just go. You sit on it, you brood on it, and then the worst enemy is your own self. When now you start, you know, someone tells you you're not good enough, then you're like, yeah, that's why I'm like this, I'm like this, I'm like this. So you really have to choose your voices. You really have to be clear in your mind. Someone can say something, but you don't have to take it. If it's not truth, then it doesn't count. It doesn't count. And women have got to find their place, let me bring in God, so that when you're in God, there's a way you know you are. That your relationship with him is a place where nobody else can come in, you know? And that's the voice of truth that you need within yourself. That way you can counter, you can be able to deal with your house help and with your boss. Because the sexism doesn't even come from very far, it comes from within. You know, it comes from your neighbors, it comes from your friends maybe who you are with in high school or in college, you know? So you really have to, and when you realize something is not working for you, you have to really make a point of breaking out. Yes.
All right. Let's quickly take a quick break here on KTN News. When we come back, we'll be discussing the role of, can really women have it all? We can be mothers, wives, business women. So stay with us. Keep it KTN News.